If you were born in ancient Rome, your entire life might have been decided not by your strength, not by your intelligence, but by a silent strategy created by the emperors. A strategy so powerful that it controlled millions without them even realizing it. This strategy had a name: bread and circuses. But behind this simple phrase lies one of the most shocking stories in world history. A story of manipulation, distraction, entertainment, and the gradual fall of the greatest empire the world had ever seen. And today, you'll hear that entire story. The rise of the crowd. The Roman Empire was huge, stretching across Europe, Africa, and Asia. But inside its walls lived a dangerous force. Not an army, not politicians, not generals. The crowd. Hundreds of thousands of poor, hungry, frustrated people. Every emperor feared the same thing. If the crowd became angry, the city could burn to the ground in a matter of hours. Records show that riots were so common that even the elite feared walking outside. Rome needed a solution, something to keep the crowd from thinking about their suffering, something to keep them quiet. The first half of the strategy, the bread. In the year 123 BC, a Roman politician named Gaius Gracchus made a bold proposal. He wanted to give grain to the poor at a cheaper price, almost free. People loved him instantly. Politicians hated him instantly, because they understood what this truly was: power. The power to control emotions with food. After Gracchus was killed by political enemies, other leaders continued the idea but perfected it. Soon, the empire passed a law. Every Roman citizen would get free grain every month. This was not charity, it was a political weapon. With full stomachs, the people stayed calm. A calm crowd meant a stable empire. But emperors were not done. The second half of the strategy, the circus. Romans loved entertainment, but they didn't love mild, soft, gentle entertainment. They loved violence. They loved spectacle. They loved fear, blood, and glory. So emperors built the most iconic structure in Western civilization: the Colosseum, a giant stone theater that could hold nearly 50,000 people. And what happened inside? Shockingly intense events. Gladiators fighting to the death, lions versus humans, naval battles recreated inside a flooded arena, mass executions that entertained the public, chariot races at the Circus Maximus with 150,000 screaming fans. Everything was free. No tickets, no cost, no barrier. The emperors learned something dark. A population that is entertained does not rebel. To modern historians, one thing is clear: bread fed their stomachs. Circuses fed their emotions. Together, they controlled their minds. The emperors who mastered the game. Emperor Augustus. He expanded the grain program and increased festivals. He realized that the easiest way to appear good was to keep people entertained. Emperor Nero. He built extravagant theaters and hosted massive games even when the empire was collapsing. His solution to every crisis? More entertainment. Emperor Trajan. He held 123 days of games in a row, the longest ever recorded. Thousands died for the amusement of the public. Emperor Commodus. He performed as a gladiator himself, dressed like Hercules, fighting in the arena for attention. He didn't rule the empire, he entertained it.
Swords, the dark truth behind the gladiators. You might imagine gladiators as muscular warriors shouting for glory. The truth is more tragic, more brutal, and more real. Most gladiators were prisoners, slaves, war captives, criminals. They trained in special schools called ludi, where they lived in harsh conditions. Their bodies were built for combat, their lives controlled by trainers. And every time they entered the arena, they knew one thing: the crowd decided their fate. If the audience wanted blood, the emperor gave a thumbs down. The gladiator died. Not for justice, not for war, not for honor, but for distraction. Because as long as the crowd was screaming at the arena, they weren't screaming at the government. House emoji, Rome's greatest secret. Ancient writers like Juvenal noticed something strange. The citizens of Rome, who once fought wars, built roads, conquered nations, had changed. They stopped caring about politics. They stopped caring about corruption. They stopped caring about their future. All they wanted was panem et circenses, bread and circuses, food and entertainment. Juvenal wrote, "The people have abandoned their right to rule. All they want now is free food and games." Think about this. The greatest empire in history lost its strength not through invasion, but through distraction. When the public stops thinking, the powerful stop worrying. Skull emoji, the cost of distraction. By the time the empire reached the 4th century, the consequences were visible. Armies were underfunded, roads and infrastructure collapsed, corruption reached every level. Citizens refused to fight in wars, the economy weakened, foreign enemies grew stronger. But inside Rome, the Colosseum was still full, the chariot races were still running, the grain program was still feeding millions. People were entertained, while the empire slowly died. Scholars estimate that by the late empire, over 200,000 citizens depended entirely on state-provided free food. They were not soldiers, they were not workers, they were not innovators, they were spectators. When Rome finally collapsed, many citizens didn't even realize it until it was too late. The empire that built the world was destroyed by its own distractions. Globe emoji, the story repeats itself. This is why Bread and Circuses is more than just history. It is a warning. Every generation struggles with its own version of the same strategy. In ancient Rome, it was the arena, the food, the festivals. Today, it might be the constant scrolling of social media, dopamine-rich entertainment, political distractions, endless news cycles, consumer culture, sports, celebrities, gossip. The tools change, the strategy does not. A distracted society stops asking questions. A silent population becomes easy to control. And when people choose entertainment over reality, history repeats itself. Light bulb emoji, life lesson, the cost of being distracted. Rome teaches us a lesson that is more relevant today than ever. If you give up your focus, someone else will control your future. Bread and Circuses didn't destroy Rome overnight. It took decades of small distractions, little comforts, little pleasures, until the people no longer cared about anything important. The lesson? Pointing right emoji, entertainment is not the enemy, but using entertainment to escape reality is dangerous. Pointing right emoji, a society that forgets to think will someday regret it. Pointing right emoji, and individuals who trade growth for distraction slowly lose control of their own lives. If you want to rise above average, if you want to succeed, you must do what the Romans forgot to do. Stay awake, stay aware, and stay responsible for your own future. Because empires fall, but distractions never do.